stairs too hard? I added 4 more flights. The fluorescent lights of Abernathy Architects hummed, a soundtrack to my mounting frustration. Mr. Abernathy, the owner, stood by the window, his back to the drafting tables, a silhouette against the overcast sky. He was holding court, again, about his knees. These stairs, Thorne, they're a menace. A public health hazard, I tell you. He turned, his face a roadmap of wrinkles and displeasure. This building, beautiful, historic, but utterly inaccessible. It's simply not sustainable in this modern age. He wasn't talking about clients or public perception. He was talking about himself. Abernathy's knees had been giving him trouble for years, and the 3 flights of stairs to his office on the top floor had become his personal Mount Everest. He'd wheezed his way up them this morning, complaining the whole way. Brenda, the office manager, rolled her eyes subtly from behind her desk. She'd been with the firm since before I was born, and I suspected she'd seen this kind of self-centered drama play out many times before. "We need an elevator," Abernathy declared, his voice booming. "A modern convenience. It's not just for me, of course. Think of our clients. Think of accessibility." He puffed out his chest, clearly pleased with his altruistic guise. The problem? Abernathy Architects was barely breaking even. We were a small firm in a historic building clinging to a shrinking market. An elevator would be a financial black hole. Later, during lunch, Sarah, a fellow junior architect, nudged me. "Elevator, huh? Sounds expensive." "Understatement of the year," I mumbled, stirring my soup. "We're talking about a major structural overhaul. And for what? So Abernathy can avoid a little exercise?" Sarah sighed. "He's been writing your designs hard lately too, hasn't he? Taking credit for the community center plans. That was low." She was right. He presented my community center design as his own to a prospective client last week. The client had loved it, and Abernathy had lapped up the praise like a thirsty dog. I'd sat there, fuming, feeling invisible. "He's insufferable," I agreed. And now, this elevator. The following Monday, Abernathy summoned me to his office. The air was thick with the scent of his expensive cologne and simmering self-importance. "Thorne, about the elevator," he began, leaning back in his leather chair. "I want you to research the options, get some quotes, explore any alternatives. Think outside the box, Thorne. That's what I pay you for." He winked, as if bestowing some great honor. He was paying me peanuts to do the work of 3 people, while he golfed and took long lunches. I clenched my jaw. "Of course, Mr. Abernathy," I said, my voice carefully neutral. The first few days were spent drowning in elevator catalogs and construction estimates. As I suspected, the cost was prohibitive. We were talking hundreds of thousands of dollars, permits, structural engineers, weeks of disruption. It was insane. Then I started looking at building codes, specifically accessibility requirements. I began to see a loophole. The code focused on elements like ramp slopes, stair riser heights, and handrail placement. It emphasized accessibility, yes, but it was also very specific in its language. And language, I realized, could be manipulated. The seed of an idea began to sprout. A petty, vindictive, beautifully malicious idea. Instead of trying to shoehorn an elevator into the building, what if I modified the existing stairwell? Not to improve accessibility in a practical sense, but to meet the bare minimum requirements, technically speaking. I imagined a stairwell with multiple short flights, each meticulously designed to comply with the code. Lower risers, deeper treads, perfectly placed handrails. It wouldn't be easier to climb, not really. In fact, it might be harder. More flights, more turns, more landings. Abernathy wanted accessibility? I'd give him accessibility. He wanted to save money? I'd save him a fortune. He wanted me to think outside the box? I'd obliterate the box completely. The next few weeks were a blur of architectural software, calculations, and careful drafting. I divided the existing 3 flights into 7. adding intermediate landings. I adjusted riser heights by fractions of an inch, ensuring they met the legal definition of accessible. I positioned handrails according to the millimeter, creating a labyrinth of compliance. The design was diabolical. It met the letter of the law, while completely ignoring its spirit. I shared my plans with Sarah over pizza one night. She stared at the drawings, her mouth agape. "Elias," she said finally, "you're insane. This is pure evil." "Evil genius, perhaps?" I suggested, raising an eyebrow. She laughed, then grew serious. "Abernathy will kill you." "He can't," I said. "It's all perfectly legal." He told me to find an alternative. I found one, a significantly cheaper one. "But it's so ridiculous," she said, still shaking her head. "He'll never be able to climb it." "Exactly," I said, grinning. I presented the plans to Abernathy the following week. I used all the architectural jargon I could muster, burying him under a mountain of technical specifications. I emphasized the cost savings, the code compliance, the innovative approach. "As you can see, Mr. Abernathy," I said, pointing to the drawings, "by modifying the existing stairwell, we can achieve the required accessibility standards at a fraction of the cost of an elevator. The shorter flights will be much easier for everyone to navigate." He squinted at the plans, his eyes glazing over. He clearly didn't understand a word I was saying, but he saw the bottom line significantly cheaper. "Brilliant," Thorne declared, slapping the table. "Absolutely brilliant. You've saved this company a fortune. See, Brenda, I told you Thorne was a valuable asset." Brenda, who had been observing the presentation with a knowing smile, simply nodded. "Indeed, Mr. Abernathy. Very valuable." Abernathy signed off on the project without a second thought. He was too focused on the perceived savings and the opportunity to appear fiscally responsible. The construction began a week later. The office was thrown into chaos. The noise was deafening. The dust was everywhere. Frank, the construction foreman, initially looked at the plans with a mixture of confusion and amusement. "7 flights?" he asked, scratching his head. "Seriously," I said, handing him a set of detailed blueprints. "Just follow the plans. Everything is up to code." Frank shrugged. "All right, kid, your funeral? Just seems like a lot of extra work for not much." As the additional flights of stairs began to take shape, the other employees started to notice. Whispers circulated. Giggles erupted. Even Abernathy, initially oblivious, started to look concerned. "Thorne," he said one afternoon, stopping me in the hallway, "are you sure about these? Extra stairs? Seems a bit excessive, doesn't it?" "Excessively compliant, Mr. Abernathy," I corrected him, my voice perfectly sincere. "We're exceeding expectations, ensuring maximum accessibility for everyone." He grumbled something about over-engineering and shuffled away. I could see the doubt creeping into his eyes, but it was too late. The construction was already underway. Finally, after weeks of disruption, the project was complete. The building now had 7 flights of stairs, a dizzying labyrinth of landings and handrails. It was a monument to my petty revenge, a testament to the power of malicious compliance. Abernathy gathered the entire staff for a celebratory ribbon-cutting ceremony in the lobby. He stood proudly in front of the modified stairwell, beaming like a game show host. "Behold," he announced, gesturing grandly, "our new, improved, accessible stairwell. A testament to our commitment to innovation and inclusivity." He invited everyone to try it out. People cautiously started climbing, their faces a mixture of amusement and bewilderment. It was undeniably harder than the original 3 flights. The constant turning and stopping was exhausting. Then it was Abernathy's turn. He puffed out his chest, grabbed the handrail, and started climbing. He made it to the first landing, his face already turning red. He paused, gasping for breath. "Excellent," he wheezed. "Much easier on the knees." He continued to climb, each step becoming more labored. By the 3rd flight, he was sweating profusely, his face a mask of pain and exertion. He finally reached the top, collapsing onto a chair in his office, completely winded. The truth dawned on him slowly, like a sunrise of realization. He stared at me, his eyes burning with fury. "Thorne," he said, his voice hoarse. "Get in here, now." I walked into his office, my heart pounding. He was sitting behind his desk, his face contorted with rage. You did this on purpose, didn't you?" he sputtered. "You deliberately made these stairs harder." "I simply followed your instructions, Mr. Abernathy," I said, my voice calm and measured. "I researched the alternatives, obtained quotes, and designed a solution that meets all the building codes and accessibility requirements. And, most importantly, it saved the company a significant amount of money." "Don't play innocent with me, Thorne," he roared. "You knew I wouldn't be able to climb these abominations. You deliberately sabotaged me." "Sabotaged you?" I asked, feigning surprise. "Mr. Abernathy, I'm shocked. I was simply trying to fulfill your request for a cost-effective accessibility solution." I pointed to the stack of documents on his desk. "Everything is documented. Every calculation, every code reference, every meeting. It's all there in black and white." He slammed his fist on the desk. "I should fire you, Thorne. I should fire you right now." "On what grounds, Mr. Abernathy?" I asked, raising an eyebrow. "For saving the company money? For adhering to building codes? For following your instructions?" He slumped back in his chair, defeated. He knew I was right. He couldn't fire me without exposing his own incompetence and poor judgment. He was trapped. Brindle poked her head into the office. "Mr. Abernathy?" "Mr. Thompson is here for his 2-0 appointment." Abernathy groaned. "Tell him I'll be right down. Just give me a minute." He glared at me. "Get out, Thorne. Just get out." I walked out of his office, a small smile playing on my lips. As I passed Brenda, she winked at me. "Nice work, Elias," she whispered. He had it coming. The news of Abernathy's stairwell struggle spread like wildfire throughout the office. Some employees were amused, others were impressed, and some were terrified. Abernathy tried to put on a brave face, but it was clear he was miserable. He avoided the stairs whenever possible, taking the long way around the building to use the service entrance on the ground floor. He started scheduling more meetings on the first floor, avoiding his office altogether. The firm became a local laughingstock. People would stop by just to see the infamous 7-flight stairwell. We even got a brief mention in the local newspaper, under the headline, "Architectural Firm Takes Accessibility to New Extremes." Literally. Surprisingly, the notoriety wasn't all bad. Some clients were amused by the story, finding it quirky and memorable. We even landed a few new projects because of it. And, despite Abernathy's resentment, he couldn't deny that the project had been a success, at least from a financial perspective. He even started delegating more responsibility to me, grudgingly acknowledging my talent and attention to detail. A few weeks later, I was working late in the office when Abernathy walked in. He looked tired and defeated. "Thorne," he said, his voice subdued, "I need to talk to you." My heart skipped a beat. I braced myself for another tirade. I want to apologize," he said, avoiding eye contact. "I was wrong. You did what you were asked to do. And you saved the company a lot of money." He paused, then continued. Maybe I was a bit too focused on the financial aspects. I didn't fully appreciate the practical implications." He looked up at me, his eyes filled with a mixture of shame and resignation. "I still think you did it on purpose," he admitted. "But maybe I deserved it. I didn't say anything. I simply nodded." He sighed. "I'm getting too old for this, Thorne. This business, it's changing. I can't keep up." He looked around the office, his eyes filled with a hint of melancholy. Maybe it's time for me to retire," he said softly. He turned and walked away, leaving me alone in the quiet office. I watched him go, feeling a strange mixture of satisfaction and regret. The next day, I found a package on my desk. It was a walking stick, made of polished wood with a silver handle. Attached to it was a small card. For navigating those challenging stairs, it read, "Good work, Thorn." Mr. A. I smiled. The taste of petty revenge remained sweet, even after all this time. The stairs were hard, so I added 4 more flights, for him to see how the stairs would be.